Good morning, Kai, Jordan, and Miles. Today is May 29th, Friday. We got one more week left of school, which is awesome. We're going to be working today. By the way, we're going to be having one more test before the year is out. So focus and bear down. Today we're going to be working on lesson 65, which is on page 445, okay? And it is on ratio problems involving totals. Okay, I'm going to be going over one problem, and it should be easy enough to understand. But pay attention. If you have to, rewind it and watch it again. The example is the ratio of football players, which I labeled right here FP, football players, to soccer players, and then the T stands for total. So you want to make a chart like this to keep track of everything. The ratio of football players to soccer players was 5 to 7, okay? So they say the ratio of football players to soccer players was 5 to 7. Whatever they list them as, that's where they fall. 5 to 7. Football players to soccer players is 5 to 7. Okay? If however they list them is however you want to put them in the problem. Football players to soccer players was 5 to 7. Now if you add these two right here, they total 12, right? 5 to 7 for a total of 12. The next part of the question asks if the football and soccer players in the room totaled 48. If the football players and soccer players in the room totaled 48, that means they totaled 48. How many were football players? I don't know. So I'm going to say X and I'm going to say Y because I don't know how many football players there were and I don't know how many soccer players there were, but I do know the ratio. I know the total of the ratio and I know the total of the actual count of the players, okay? So what do I want to do? I want to set up a ratio problem, which means I want to set up a cross multiply and divide. So it's asking how many football players were there? This is what they're asking right here. I'm going to circle it, okay? How many football players were there? I know there was 5, and then there was an X over here, right? And I also know the totals. There was 12, and there was 48, okay? So there's one unknown that I need to find out. But this is one of those ratio problems, right? Where I can cross multiply 48 times 5 and then divide by 12. 48 times 5 would be, 8 times 5 is 40, right? I carry the 4. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 4 would be 24. So I have 240, what? And then I divide by 12. 240 divided by 12, right? 12 does not go into 2. 12 does go into 24 twice with a 0 left over. So my answer is 20. There are 20 football players, is what it just told me. 20 FP. Well, how many, if it asked, how many soccer players do I have? Well, that's easy because I knew there were a total of 48. So I subtract 20 from 48, there must be 28 soccer players. So now I just figured it out. right? It's a cross multiply and divide problem. If you have a problem with this, rewind the video and watch again, okay? But this is what you do. You have to make a chart, fill in the numbers, the total of the ratio, you add these, okay? Forget the total of the ratio. These we did not know, but we knew the actual count total was 48. And then I'm going to figure out which 4 specimens I'm going to look at to get my cross multiply and divide, okay? All right, if it was asking me for soccer players, I could have done that just as easily, right? If it was asking me for how many soccer players were there, okay? Okay, I could have gone 7 over 12, right? If it was asking me for how many soccer players, y over 48. I could have gone 48 times 7 would be 56. 28 plus 5 would be 33. 3, 3, 6 divided by 12, right, would be 2, with a remainder of what? 24 would be 96, 8, 28, which is, if you remember from my last answer, was the answer for how many soccer players there were. And if I wanted to know how many football players there were based on this answer, I would subtract 48 from 28, which would give me 20, okay? It would have told me either answer, all right? We will see you next time. This is due on Monday.